I saw that Marceau went live yesterday, and he's sitting over there gloating and everything about some of the notoriety that he's gained because of the fight that happened on Love and Marriage Huntsville over the weekend. Even though it was kind of embarrassing, I wanted to be very clear. However, in the moment that I acted, I was acting to protect the situation, protect my brother from further harm. And what I will tell you is I wanted to really protect Dr. Adara Collins' work because Martell was going to slap the teeth out of his mouth.
Maurice Scott recently suffered a major defeat in court, reminding us that taking on popular social media stars without strong proof is risky. When you challenge well-known personalities like Black Titanic, you must have rock-solid facts. Unfortunately, for Maurice and his team, their case fell apart, making them look guilty instead of vindicated. So what went wrong? Maurice actually thought losing this lawsuit would somehow help him. Instead, Black Titanic turned the situation around completely. What started as a simple disagreement on reality TV erupted into a full-blown courtroom showdown. Now, personalities from those shows are dragging their on-screen fights into a legal setting, with Maurice suing Black Titanic, a commentator known for diving into private details of love and marriage. Bringing those private struggles into the sea open only made things messier for Maurice's circle. Although this legal drama is centered in Huntsville, the real action unfolded inside the courtroom. Maurice arrived without a clear plan. His arguments were weak, and the judge seemed uninterested. Viewers and industry insiders have been buzzing about how poorly Maurice handled himself during the trial. His network's missteps, not gathering enough evidence, misreading the law, and underestimating Black Titanic's defense, turned the case into one of reality TV's most talked about battles. In the end, Maurice Scott and his associates look foolish. Their mistakes reveal how quickly personal conflicts involving fame, love, and marriage can spiral into public embarrassment when brought before a judge. This case shows that without concrete proof, even a well-known figure can find themselves outmatched and humiliated.
Is doing as admirable as his spouse. To roll over and suffer through it, I look at it as her standing by me while I'm standing by her. There's a difference between wants and needs. I'm a person who actually needs sex, not a person who wants sex.
Why do you need sex?
I need sex like Carlos needs mess.
You might not believe how badly things went for Maurice Scott, but by the end of this story, you'll see why it could easily rank as one of his greatest miscalculations. So grab some snacks, because this tale really heats up fast. To understand why Maurice and his network, O Network, ended up in such a mess, we have to start with Black Titanic. She's a popular social media commentator and blogger who has spent years dissecting the off-camera lives of reality TV stars, particularly those on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Black Titanic often highlights conflicts, secret tensions, and hidden details that the show's producers and cast members probably wished would remain private. Her followers tune in to learn the gossip that doesn't make the on-screen episodes. But things came to a head when Maurice Scott and the O Network felt that Black Titanic had crossed a line. They believed she was spreading false stories, smearing reputations, and, even worse, from their perspective, using clips from the show without permission. Maurice had already stirred up controversy on Love and Marriage by launching questionable business ventures and publicly airing relationship drama with his wife, Kimmi. When Black Titanic started connecting those earlier incidents to new information, Maurice and the network saw it as a direct threat. Suddenly, rumors about his integrity and business dealings began to spread, and even viewers started wondering if the network was hiding damaging facts about its stars. Buying into the idea that a lawsuit would somehow silence Black Titanic, Maurice and the O Network decided to file legal action. They hoped that simply dragging her into court would intimidate her into stopping her investigations and shutting down her online channels. In their minds, Maurice's fame and their own resources would be enough to bulldoze a lone blogger. but they had severely underestimated how fragile their case actually was. Even before the trial started, there were warning signs that Maurice's plan might not go smoothly. In defamation cases, you need strong, specific evidence, more than just saying, "She's talking bad about me." Yet Maurice's team lacked concrete proof. When they claimed that Black Titanic's posts were inaccurate and harmful, the judge immediately demanded exact quotes or clips showing things she said that could be proven false. This is where Maurice's legal team floundered. Many of the statements Black Titanic made about his business practices, his marriage woes, and his on-camera remarks were based on publicly available information, sometimes even things Maurice himself had shared on television. She wasn't inventing new lies. She was just piecing together past interviews, news reports, and social media comments. Maurice's lawyers never successfully demonstrated that she intentionally twisted facts, rather than simply expressing opinions. In addition, Maurice misread fair use rules. He and his attorneys believed they could claim ownership over every clip of the show and restrict how Black Titanic used short excerpts for her commentary. In reality, the law protects brief clips for critique, news coverage, or educational purposes. When his lawyer raised the copyrighted material issue, the judge interrupted to point out that criticism of publicly broadcasted content isn't illegal. That backfired spectacularly. Instead of silencing Black Titanic, the lawsuit only elevated her profile. Viewers rallied behind her, and her audience, already enthusiastic, grew even larger as news outlets covered the bizarre attempt to shut her channel. By the day of the hearing, Maurice's confidence had started to crack. Reports from inside the courtroom say he and his team looked flustered. They presented vague accusations, shifting statements, and no solid supporting documents. At one point, the judge stopped the proceedings to ask, "What exactly did Black Titanic say that is untrue and defamatory? Show me the proof." Maurice struggled to respond. His explanations stumbled, sometimes even contradicting previous allegations. The audience could feel the tension. Every time Maurice opened his mouth, it seemed as though his case unraveled a little more. Meanwhile, Black Titanic and her legal crew arrived prepared. They countered every point with precise examples, clips from past episodes, quotes from social media posts, and documented evidence showing that she only repeated what Maurice had already said or what reporters had written. They also highlighted the irony. O Network had benefited for years from bloggers and influencers who discussed the show without ever facing lawsuits. Why, they asked, was Maurice now targeting Black Titanic for doing essentially the same thing? This line of questioning cut to the heart of the matter. It appeared that Maurice and his colleagues were trying to control their public image, rather than address any real defamation. The judge, growing increasingly exasperated, made it clear that she saw through their strategy. She pointed out that copyright laws allow for commentary on broadcasted material under fair use, and that defamation requires proof of false statements, not just hurt feelings. When Black Titanic's attorneys demonstrated how easily anyone could find the same information Maurice claimed was private, it further weakened his position. What had started as a straightforward lawsuit turned into a display of how little Maurice had actually prepared. But the most humiliating moment came when the court revisited Maurice's own public statements. Black Titanic's team produced videos and transcripts showing him bragging about his businesses on camera, discussing his relationship with Kimmi, on talk shows, or responding to rumors himself, all things he now claimed were twisted. Yet in court, he insisted that any mention of those topics was damaging. How could he claim harm from discussions he originally shared? This contradiction left him visibly uncomfortable. The judge even paused proceedings, noting aloud that Maurice's own words undermined his argument. What once looked like a fight for justice became an example of a public figure trying to rewrite his history. As the case drew to a close, Maurice and the O Network tried a last-ditch effort, shifting their focus from defamation to harassment. They argued that Black Titanic was targeting him unfairly, hurting his livelihood, and causing financial losses to the network. But guess what? Again, they provided no evidence. They couldn't show lost income or specific instances where her videos directly led to canceled contracts. So the judge dismissed those claims as well. It was clear their entire case rested on shaky ground. Finally, the judge delivered the verdict. She threw out the lawsuit, condemning Maurice's effort as ill-founded and a waste of court resources. In front of everyone, she criticized his team for bringing a case that had no merit. For Maurice Scott, this was a crushing loss. Instead of stopping Black Titanic, he had acted as her most effective promoter. Her following soared, and her reputation grew stronger than ever. Meanwhile, Maurice's image suffered a serious blow. Longtime fans began questioning his motives, and industry insiders started mocking how poorly he managed the whole affair. The O Network also took a hit. Viewers wondered why the same people who benefited from social media chatter now tried to censor a single critic. The backlash was swift and unforgiving. In truth, this debacle exposed something important about life in the digital age. When you're in the public eye, you can't simply call foul when someone comments on your actions, especially if those actions were already on tape. Trying to silence a broadcaster with a lawsuit may work in movies, but in real court, you must have an unassailable case. Maurice Scott and his associates learned that lesson the hard way. Now, people are asking whether Maurice can ever recover. His credibility is in tatters, and his attempt to suppress criticism only made matters worse. As for Black Titanic, she emerged from the ordeal stronger than ever, with a larger audience and newfound respect from those who admire her tenacity. So, what happens next? For Maurice Scott, it will take a long time to regain trust. Rather than settling the dispute quietly, he went public and ended up making himself look foolish. The trial taught him, and all of us, a crucial lesson. In a world where information flows freely, you cannot clamp down on every mention of your name. If you choose to challenge someone publicly, you must prepare to show, without a doubt, that you're in the right. Otherwise, you risk losing not only the case but also the respect of everyone watching.